Well, welcome back, everyone. Thursday morning show rolls on. Final half hour here. Get you ready for another great sports night on tap. Nothing better on a Thursday morning for two middle-aged guys to talk about video games, but that's what we're going to do here in this next segment. We talked about it late last week when the renderings came out and the first trailer dropped for College Football 27, and North Dakota State had its likeness in there, which set my Twitter feed on fire. And for the last few days, it has been a hot topic for people certainly younger than me on North Dakota State being involved in the game. Troy Goergen joins us, NDSU Senior Associate AD, charge of marketing. And he's the man who's, I don't know if you ever thought he'd be talking about video games on TV with me, but we're going to do it here this morning. It's great to see you, bud. Thanks for doing this. All right, so give me first your perspective on this. When the announcement comes that North Dakota State's going to move to FBS football, when does the video game part of this come to your attention?
I think it was early to mid-February is when we got the first contact from EA Sports, and it may have been right around that time that our licensing company, CLC, reached out saying that, hey, expect a call or expect an email. So I was looking at the calendar this morning. It's been a short, quick 3 months. But yeah, we were excited to get word and have been kind of working on it almost daily since.
So EA reaches out, Troy, and what are they asking for? What can you give us the lowdown on the conversations, at least in the start of how this process worked out?
Well, I mean, quite literally from the start, it was like, hey, congratulations, Mountain West. You're going to be in the game, as the slogan goes. And then it was like, they kind of laid out, here's what we've done thus far. We've submitted our licensing. Here are kind of the next steps, starting to get photos, videos, so they can start building their renderings. Obviously, they're, getting the student athletes in touch with the third party that was handling those contracts. So it was, in terms of, working with organizations from a licensing standpoint or a project standpoint, they had it all together. It was just a matter of following through with their steps and getting them what they needed in a timely manner, because we are working under a much quicker timeline than most would, but we're happy to do it to be in the game this year as opposed to waiting. So
was that
exciting?
I guess, was it surprised to find out that you were going to be in the game this year? Was there some, okay, well, that might be something that happens next fall, next summer?
A little bit of a surprise, but to be honest, I obviously knew the game was out there, but it just all happened so quickly. It was like, okay, it's here in front of us. There's some surprise, but at the end of the day, like, let's do it. There's no complaining. We're in. Let's get rolling and get them what they need.
So off of that, that's a perfect segue. What did they need? What did you provide EA for the video game?
Mainly just photos and videos to start. They do have, like I explained to you last week, they do have a much longer, more detailed process for submitting photos that will go into, starting now, that'll give them better photos of the dome. So we got them as much as we could from a photo and video standpoint to show them what game day looked like. Given the short timeline, getting all the photos, which I think it literally totals 1,200 plus photos, every angle of the dome, so that shows the, exact details of the Fargo Dome. We'll be getting those between now and obviously, the end of the summer. But what we got them to start was just as many photos, videos, and renderings as we could that would help them build out the dome as accurate as possible for year one.
So you do that. They go to work on it. When did you first hear back to say, hey, this is what we've got? When the process was that?
Yeah, I would say like a month, 6 weeks ago, we started to see some, early renderings of probably primarily like the uniforms and the helmets.
Yep.
And then they worked, directly with our equipment staff to get samples shipped out. So the thing about EA that has impressed me, and not surprised by it, but the level of detail and attention to detail, like they want every detail, spot on. So they did everything they could to whether requesting more photos or requesting the actual helmets and uniforms to make sure that it looked as accurate as possible. So it was really just being really responsive to their requests, and they did the majority of the work. Obviously, we just wanted to make sure we were timely with everything they asked of us.
Troy, when you saw the first renderings, what went through your mind? Like, how did they look good? What was the initial reaction?
I mean, anybody that's seen video games, and I have a 15-year-old son who plays games, and I'm always flabbergasted by the realism of the games compared to the Tecmo Bowl when I was 15.
Love Tecmo Bowl.
Some of the video quality is unbelievable, and then even some of the renderings of the dome, there was some not concern, but they pointed out early that we won't have the dome exact. So I said, well, I'm a little nervous. Can you send me some samples? And they sent me some, and I was like, okay, that looks pretty good. And they get down to the level of detail of, okay, the roof, the steel in the roof isn't going to look exactly the same. And now seeing some of the rendering now, there are some more obvious differences, but they said that's not necessarily a bad thing, because then next year the dome should be
right
as it exists, and there's going to hopefully be at some point changes to the dome that will be in the game. So you see other universities have been in the game for years. That's kind of what they're promoting is, hey, now in the game is these details. So we're taking it step by step, but excited to see what the full picture looks like come July.
To a T, when I talked to the players the day of the announcement, all of them unprompted could not contain their excitement that they were going to be in the game. Have they had a look at this yet, or have you kept that within the administration right now? Or have the players had a chance to see some of the renderings of what it looks like prior to the trailer last week?
Yeah, we've had to keep it kind of under wraps, so nobody other than a small handful of folks here in the athletic department and with our licensing company have seen it. But we have had conversations with them, and obviously now that they're here working camps and things like that, we're doing some promotional videos with them, so you can see the excitement in their faces when they talk about the game, and then seeing what came out last week, like. Clearly you see existing players being used in the game is pretty cool.
So the trailer comes out last week. Did you know that was coming? And then NDSU is in it. And then take me through it, because then things went crazy last Friday. That's when I called you.
Honestly, we didn't know that EA was going to announce last Thursday, and there's been a lot of communication since, and there'll be an update here in the next few days directly from EA that'll help set the course for us. But for us, since last Thursday, it's been like we've been in a stream, and the current keeps going faster, and we're just trying to grab branches as we go down the because we do have a plan, and that we've been working on for 3 months that we'll be rolling out that'll help promote gameplay and everything that we talked about last week. It's just things are moving quicker than we anticipated, but it's all positive.
So now beyond the game part of it, there's a financial ramification to this as well, which doing more research on it, that I found out that the more that people play the game, the royalties go to the school could be pretty lucrative. Can you describe or tell us a little bit more about that?
So the royalties for the game are based on gameplay. So EA Sports will track how many times people play as NDSU. So our goal is to encourage people to use NDSU in the game, and not only our own fans, which based on social media, there may be some lost work time and maybe some rough patches and some marriages coming up, but a lot of time I think be spent on our fans. But our goal is, what about the gamer from Florida that doesn't necessarily have a team? We're trying to get those people to pick us and play with us, and we have some gamification promotions that we're going to be launching here very soon that'll help encourage that. But all that will go back to the royalty, so we'll get paid a royalty based on how often it's played, and from the numbers that there are some out there that that's public, and I think if you searched what Missouri State made last year, I think they made around 100,000. We were told, anywhere in the high five figures to low six figures, which would be consistent with what Missouri State is out there on them. So that's a big number from our licensing budget standpoint. But the way we're looking at it, we just talked about it this morning, is like we want to do what we can to make that number grow as high as we can make it. And if it's over 100,000, great. If it's, I think that the attention that we give to the game, not only when it launches, but beyond that, will, help grow that royalty as high as we can get it.
Two last things on that before I let you go. That you guys are planning, I think you told me, like a marketing campaign, a promotional campaign to let people know that to play the game helps the school out.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll be rolling that out here. The initial plan was to roll it out here at the end of June, but we're probably going to move that up, knowing that the buzz is out there. The gaming community is very active on social media, so some of our promotions will be centered around some of those influencers that are out there. But then also some, like I said, gamification contests that will encourage gameplay and really encourage, affinity towards NDSU. The big thing, you can talk royalty and finances from a true dollar standpoint, but the amount of brand equity that we'll get out of this is, huge. So not only are we going to encourage gameplay, but we're really using it as a platform to promote the NDSU brand and NDSU football across the nation to a segment of the public that is huge. Gamers are, all ages and all parts of the globe. So we're trying to push NDSU as much as we can to not only build royalty but build brand affinity as well.
Do you ever think your job title would encompass talking about video games and having this as part of it?
No, and there's so many extensions that you start to think of too off of this that, it's one of those challenges or new things about the move up that are coming our way that our job is to capitalize on them. Yeah. So learning some new things, but exciting new challenges. We're loving the challenge and trying to capitalize as much as we can.
So July 9th, the game comes out, and you were mentioning off air, the guys, the actual football players that are in it, they'll get an advance copy here in the not-too-distant future, correct?
Yeah, I don't know how far in advance they'll get, but that's part of their contract with being in the game is they'll get an advance copy of the game. And I don't know if that's a week out, 2 weeks out, but they'll definitely have a game in their hands prior to everybody else.
Crazy stuff. Thanks so much for the info on this, bud. Appreciate it, and we'll catch up soon, okay?
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it.
Troy Goergen joining us, NDSU Senior Associate AD, chatting on North Dakota State now being part of College Football 27. I don't think I need to tell anybody that cares about this. The game comes out July the 9th. And the players that sign a deal to use their likeness in it, they'll get paid $1,500. That is not a small amount of money to be involved in the video game. And crazy stuff. Again, something I didn't think we'd be talking about on this show, but that is now reality for NDSU as being part of an FBS school in the Mountain West Conference. Wild. We'll take our final break. We come back. We'll put a bow on things, get you ready for a busy Sports Thursday. Hot Mike wraps on WDAY Extra right after this.